Hello, everyone. I'm Hillary Sloan, and this is Driftwood Conversations. My guest today is Seattle artist Cristina Martinez, whose work explores resilience, community, memory, and the quiet strength that can emerge from difficult beginnings. Whether she's creating intimate studio paintings or enormous public murals, Cristina understands that art isn't an escape from life, but a way we learn to carry it. Hello, Cristina. How are you?
Good. I'm really good. I'm excited to talk with you.
Me too. I've seen your work. I read your bio and looked at your website. Tell me, so I know a little, but tell us, everybody, a little about you, where you are, and how this passion started for you, painting.
Yeah, so I'm based out of Seattle, Washington. I've been working out of Seattle for maybe like the last 6 or 7 years. I grew up in Tacoma, which is just south of Seattle. I explored the world for a little while, came back, and have been in Seattle. I initially started in fashion school. I thought I wanted to be a designer. I was really excited about the construction of garments and what it took to get there. And I went to school in San Francisco for a little while and started studying fashion design. And it was in fashion design that I realized that my true passion was in illustration and painting. And I would sketch the looks that I wanted to create on my figures. And by the time I was done sketching, those figures had whole lives and stories and dreams, and they were like full people to me. And I started to learn that my passion really wasn't in creating the garments. And so I just trusted myself. I dropped out of fashion school and I just started painting, and I have not stopped.
Did you have resistance from friends and family?
Yeah, I mean, I think for, my mom, I think about her now because I have my own kids and I have one that will go to college soon. And I think about the way she handled me during that time and how just supportive she was. I was kind of all over the place and really trying to figure out who I was creatively. And I think my mom's voice was probably the loudest in my head. And she kind of just told me, like, I know whatever your journey looks like, you're going to be okay. You're one of those people that tends to just figure stuff out. And so I think her voice was the loudest and allowed me to just trust myself a little bit more. But, I really went on a journey to find what was important to me. And I think that sometimes the urgency to get to that place feels really, really heavy. Like you need to know what you love right then and there. But each part of my journey that I went on, it brought me back to what I was really supposed to be doing, which is painting. Although it was kind of a roller coaster ride, each part was very necessary in ultimately bringing me to where I am now and doing what I love the most. Yeah.
So is it painting or illustration? And is there a difference in your
Yeah.
eyes?
I mean, when I think about the pieces that I was creating in fashion school, those felt like illustrations. I was mostly going into that process trying to figure out which clothing I wanted to make and how I wanted the folds to look. And so that felt like more of an illustration process for me. But that just grew into my studio practice now, which is mostly painting and printmaking. I do a combination of both, and in all of my work, really. And so that time in fashion school led me to illustration, which ultimately led me to just full blown painting.
It is often a journey, isn't it? I mean, I know very few people who wake up, at 14, 15 and say, I'm going to be.
Yeah.
It happens, but
Yeah.
not often.
Right. I think the part that stuck with me the most from when I was a young child is in those moments where I craved like a feeling of safety and security or comfort. I always turned to art. And so that stayed with me my whole life. But what the art I was making, that has shifted and continues to shift. But that feeling of like art brings me this feeling of comfort and things that, going to that place when I needed something, that's the part that's at the root of everything I create. And I think that even if you don't know what you want to do, that feeling of like, I want to use my hands or I should be making something, like that part of it never really got quiet for me.
Now, the way you described your work, I had the feeling you are a storyteller.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
do you have stories with each one of your pieces?
Yeah, I think that on my journey, I think the storytelling is where I spend most of my time. It's all the things that happen before the piece comes to life, having these ideas in these head in my head, or flashbacks from when I was a kid, or just like moments that really, really shaped me or shaped people around me. That's the part that I feel like most of my process revolves around. I believe in technical skill. I believe in being incredible at drawing and building up your techniques that you use. But what matters the most to me is the story. And I technically like to fix pieces as I go or grow and learn as I go. But the story is what connects all of us for me. And so I really use each blank canvas and I think about, what I want to say, who needs to hear it at that moment, what I need to get out. And I think that the way that I've been able to tell these stories has allowed me to connect with people that I maybe would have never connected with if it wasn't for art.
Are you working off of models or is it your imagination?
It's my imagination. Every now and then I might pull like a pose from a model, or I have reference pictures of myself for days that will never see the light of day. But every now and then if I need a specific pose or a feeling, I will use myself or pull that from a model. But most of the like facial features, characteristics, the hands, things like that, it's coming from just a combination of different people in my mind that I pulled together to tell this one story.
You're working on a very large mural right now.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that. How did that come about?
The mural, we actually just finished it. I had an incredible team helping me pull that together. It's one of the biggest long-standing murals here in this area, Pioneer Square. Um, it's definitely a mural that makes me just so proud that Seattle, um, you know, gave me the space to tell such a big story in such a prominent area. And so basically it's in one of our really, really busy parts of the city, right by the football stadium, Illumin Field. It's a lot of chaos down there. There's vendors and lots of fans, and there's concerts. It's just an alleyway that has tons and tons of people that come through there every year. And so I wanted to use that space to tell almost like the opposite story. And so I created a piece called The Soft Place to Land. It's a very large figure that fills up the entire wall. The wall, I believe, is 70 by 100 and 100 feet. And she's resting and she's just blooming with the ground. She's a part of the earth. She has flowers coming out around her. And it's been really, really cool to see that area photographed and see people, the hustle and bustle of the streets, and then this woman just like fully at peace and just being. And I wanted to tell that story to just serve as a reminder that we, should always pour back into ourselves and to each other.
It's a good message
Thank
for
you.
all of us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Were you commissioned to do that piece?
So that piece was brought on through a company called Forest for the Trees. The Seattle Department of Transportation was in on it. The Pioneer Square Alliance. It was through the city, and it was a long process. I had a lot of people that were pushing for me to create something in that space, and so ultimately, at the end of the day, we submitted, ideas. I submitted my sketches, my drawings, and then I was picked to create a space or piece on that wall.
And how long did it take you to lay out the piece for that wall?
So the cool thing with this one, which has been really exciting to kind of do it in this way, I initially created a painting in my studio. It was I had some printmaking in it. I some acrylic paint, some oil paint. Just took my time to really make this piece, and then we scaled that piece up to fit this wall. So what's really exciting is in the past murals that I've done, I've kind of altered my vision for the work to fit this wall space or to make sense there. You think about being outside and painting for 4 or 5, 6 days and what the weather's going to be like. And so it can kind of shift the way the artwork looks. This piece is like a direct reflection of a piece I made in my studio. So it really truly is like a painting that just got blown up and put on this wall. And I would say the most challenging part of it, the part that took the longest, was trying to translate the texture that I get from my printmaking process onto such a big wall. It took a lot of like trial and error, but that was my first time doing it at that scale, and I love the way that it came out, and I'm it's really cool to see a wall look like it had, was printed. It has that same texture on there, which has been really exciting.
How did you get that? Did you prime the wall?
Yeah, we primed the wall, and then there was a team of four of us that worked on that mural together, and we just all kind of gave it our best shot. Like, let's see who can get it to look like it had some printmaking in the process of this, and so we all kind of had different ideas, and the final idea kind of ended up being like a combination of all of them. But yeah, it was really fun. And now it's something I can carry on into my practice whenever I do another mural. I can bring that texture of the printmaking aspect and put it at a large scale, which is very exciting for me.
What would the difference be? I'm trying to imagine it, not seeing it. Is
Yeah.
it flatter than oil
Yeah.
or?
Yeah. So if I'm working on a piece and I'm just gonna paint the entire thing, I use a lot of like black ink for my printmaking part. And so, if you paint it, it's solid black. If I'm using a printmaking process to do it, whether it's on a wood panel or canvas or paper, I carve linoleum first into that shape. Let's say it's a hand, and then I print the hand onto the wood panel, canvas, or paper. And when you pull that like stamp basically that you just made up, it leaves like a really interesting texture. Almost like if you were, I don't know, it has like this newspaper look to it. And so it just was really challenging figuring out how to translate that onto this big wall when we're using, latex paints, and everything goes on really flat. And so it was a combination of actually going in, and every little white dot that you would get from printmaking, we just painted them on there. And it took a long time, and it's 70 feet in the air, but it worked.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Were you on scaffolds then?
Yeah, so we were on a boom lift for the highest parts, and then on a scissor lift for like the middle to lower area. So it was,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness. Now you
Yeah.
must know how Da Vinci felt.
Yeah, that's one thing I feel like we don't, I kind of walked away from that mural like, wow, people that are full-time muralists, um, it's like one thing to like feel that sense of urgency to like put your art out to the world, but I can do that safely and calmly and at peace with music and all that in my studio. But there are some people that only do that outside. And so it's like, it made me just think about those artists and just appreciate that process so much, because you are oftentimes like way up in the air. Things don't always feel super stable up there. It might be raining, windy, all of those things, which I'm not really used to dealing with inside of my studio. So it was a big learning experience for sure.
I've seen huge murals and they're
Yeah.
gorgeous, but I guess I never put myself in that place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so that just, yeah, you just gave me this really respect for the art, for that
Mhm.
art.
Mhm.
So, do you have a particular message with your work that you want out there received?
Yeah, I think My best example, not to get like super specific, but it is my truth. So my mom had me really young. She was 15 years old. I'm her only child. She had all these plans to give me up for adoption. It was like I was supposed to be this thing that was like the most challenging thing she would ever experience, and decided last minute to keep me. And we lived a great life, and we're very close. And I love her. She's my biggest supporter. But I think knowing that I was aware of that story and that process my entire life. There was a couple that came and watched me be born and were ready to take me, and it just I saw this teenage pregnancy that was supposed to just like completely alter my mom's life and ultimately make her life very challenging. And although we had our struggles, she created such beautiful memories for me. And now she lets me know that I'm one of the things she's most proud of in her life. And so I think when I'm making art, I always come from that perspective of like, we're going to face things all throughout our life. Things are going to be challenging. We're going to constantly be met with things that might break us or are meant to break us. But on the other side of that challenge is a more resilient version of you, a stronger version of you, maybe a more heartbroken version of you, but you will still move through life and you will still have more days. And so I like to just use my work to acknowledge the pain and grief and challenges of life, but even more so like acknowledge like what's on the other side of that. And I think that there are so many stories everywhere you look of struggle. A big part of artwork is seeing struggle, but I think it's important to also acknowledge that a lot of times, even though so many of us carry so many heavy things throughout our days, we do keep moving and we do keep moving forward, and we try to be good to each other and try to pour back into our communities and into each other. And so I like to use my artwork to just like continue to put that message out there, because I think, if I can contribute even on the smallest level of like making the world a more peaceful place, I do feel like that is part of my duty as an artist.
That's a great message.
Thank
And
you.
that's what this podcast is about. It's passion, challenges, and resilience. So we really are a great fit.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you
Of
for
course.
coming on. When you talk, it's very anchored. I know you're not making this up. I can hear
Yeah.
it. I can feel it. So
Yeah.
where do you think that came from? Was it your mother,
I do.
or was
I
it
think
something that you always felt?
I think that I spent a significant portion of my childhood seeing the women that I looked up to, whether it was my mom, my aunts, my grandma, all of which were teenage moms, all of which lived, had their fair share of challenges. I think seeing them just do what they had to do, I think that it really shaped me in a way that I think I'm just now even starting to understand, now that I'm a mother and I'm, making a life for myself and my kids. It just shaped me in a way that even if I wanted to, it's just in me, and it's how I carry myself, how I see other people is all affected by that upbringing that I had. I think that I can look back on my childhood and be like, wow, like we really went through it, or we really had some hard times. My mom was a teenager, but I think of like, I can remember, me and all my family, like running around the yard at my grandma's house, and like all these just like beautiful memories that they were still able to create, even though I know that they were carrying so much. And so I try to just, while I'm reminding myself that I can do it, I've experienced some deep grief in my life, and you do have to keep going. I try to just also pour all of those feelings into my work with the hopes that somebody else that's experiencing something will feel that same way for themselves. My journey is always about, I want to share my experience because I want you to feel like you can do it too. I want you to feel like, although you might have your challenges, like these things are also possible for you. We just have to listen to that voice that comes to us when we have our quiet moments and tells us that we're meant for great things.
Do you have a spiritual practice?
I do. I mean, I feel like I've always had a really strong faith ever since I was young, mostly because of the way that I feel like experienced life. The way I've always felt like covered and protected, even in times where maybe I didn't seem like I was. I think it's all just, I think life has shown me many, many times that there's so much more than just me on this earth, and that my journey is guided by something way, way bigger than myself. And so I feel like I've been really blessed with the gift of storytelling and the gift of creativity, and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm just following that passion with everything that I have.
So, what are your plans from here? Do you have another mural? Or are you going to go back to painting in the studio? What's up?
I think that mural really, really made me see even more so how important accessibility is. I think being able to put art in a public space like that, although, it does so much for me as an artist because it makes you so visible, being able to just like pour that story into all these people that aren't even expecting it, or just walking by and didn't know that it was going to be a part of their day. And the feedback that I've gotten from people that have been able to receive the messaging from that piece, it has definitely inspired me a lot. And I wasn't somebody that thought about murals a ton. I love being in my cozy studio, but I do feel like it is making me think about my work in a different way. I think it's brought accessibility to the forefront of my mind. And so I'm kind of in a place where I've been getting really creative and just trying to figure out fun ways to like put value into the hands of people that connect to my work, give access to people that like really, really connect to my work, just get creative. So I've kind of been in this experimental phase where I'm just making work and finding ways to put it in the homes of people that receive the message from it.
That's what a beautiful idea. That's
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
Price is one thing to make it accessible. You alter
Mm-hmm.
prices, but there's also accessibility how people can find you. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
have you thought about that? Ways to be out there more.
Yeah, I actually I have. I've been on this journey. I quit my job 8 years ago, and I've done all kinds of events, all kinds of things, but I don't know, something lately, I don't know if it's the way that technology is moving so fast or the way that things are changing rapidly. Something in me has just like wanted to just go back almost to the beginning. Like I want to create more spaces where I can like really talk to the people that are connecting to my work. I've the last few weeks I keep telling people like I want to go back and like set up a booth at a farmer's market and like bring some of my prints and talk about my work and where it's going, or be able to talk about the mural. And I think that those like little originals or like sketches, rough sketches, those kinds of things for me right now have so much value because they feel so like intimate and so precious. And so I feel like my brain has kind of moved away from like these big, big, huge paintings that, cost all this money. And just kind of focusing more so on like these little pieces that feel really sacred, and that I can price in a way that they feel more attainable. And as an artist, I think that it's always great to make money. This is how we survive. But I also think that building a community is equally as important. And I feel like lately my mind has just been like, if you focus on building community, like the rest of it will come. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I want to be out. I want to, yeah, be able to talk and be visible just on even a smaller scale. So yeah, which is really easy to do here in Seattle.
I love that. Are you in museums?
I have done a group show at the Tacoma Art Museum where I am from, which was such a huge deal for me and very, very exciting. But I have not done a ton of museum work outside of that. I think the younger version of me just was like, I make it when I'm in a museum. And that has always stayed in my brain. I've done a lot of talks in museums, been a part of events, spoke on panels, but um, having a solo show at a museum is up there on my list.
Good luck. I mean, your
Thank you.
work is just lovely. So, was art in your family? Did it come naturally to you?
I would say technically it's been something that I've grown through a lot of practice, but like spiritually and just being called to make stuff, that has been in me since I was younger. I always tell this story. My kids laugh when I tell this story, but we used to not we didn't have like art supplies laying around or anything like that. My mom, we had just exactly enough of what we needed to get by. um and so I would get really creative, and I remember one time she had came home from work and I had taken like lasagna noodles and her nail polish, and I had painted like these landscapes on these lasagna noodles. And I remember her saying to me, like, I hope you never lose that. Like, I hope these little things, like, always just bring you joy. But it was just like that. I can look back now and it was like that sense of urgency. Like, I have to express something. That was always there. And so, I have a cousin that was really creative. My mom, she always says she's not creative, but she's like crocheting and doing all the things. My grandma makes beautiful, beautiful quilts. And so I think if you ask them, they would say, no, we're not a creative family. But I think if they really paid attention, they would also see that a lot of them turn to creativity in their moments of like needing something too.
How many children do you have?
I have three kids, a boy, two girls, and their ages are very spread out.
Are they showing signs of being creative?
Yeah, they all of them have since they were younger. It's really interesting. I feel like people always comment on the way that, especially my youngest, is in the studio. She'll come in, she gets her paint, she gets her brushes, like she just knows what to do. She's very can squeeze her paint into her palette, but it's like for them this is so normal. This is we have easels kind of throughout our house. We have art supplies everywhere in our house. And so it's not anything special. It's just a very normal thing for them. So I think, yeah, to see them be creative, all three of them, I've seen it from the time they were born throughout their life. My oldest is really, really into guitar. So it's nice, like, to see him take that creativity and kind of really figure out what it looks like for him. That's been so exciting. My two younger daughters, they'll make art and it looks like mine, or I could see my influence, and I'm like, it's just like warms my heart so much. But he's at an age now, he's 16, where he's really figuring out what art means to him, and that has been like one of the most exciting things for me, because I think if we can pass that on to the youth, like, this is something you can do that's safe, that'll make you feel good, that can turn into something great. You can maybe find your passion. I think that's what it's all about.
So, yeah, we were talking about what's next, and you said you want to get out there and meet
Mm-hmm.
people. Are you doing any workshops? Are you working with younger people?
Yeah, so
What are
I
you
have a
planning for
workshop.
that?
Yeah, I have a workshop coming up next month. Oh no, we're in August already. Time is just flying. I have a workshop this month, and it'll be with teenagers, 14 through 18, which is really different for me. I've done a few things with teenagers, but I typically find myself in opportunities to work with younger kids. So I'm really excited for this. I think, teenagers, it's always like getting them to break down that wall between them and their work and to be vulnerable. That's always like the trickiest part, because the younger kids, they just go for it. I love that. They just like straight to it. And so I'm excited. But yeah, everyone that kind of knows me knows that if it has anything to do with making art with the youth, like I will do it forever. It's just, I try to teach them what I can, mainly about what art can make you feel more than like what I'm teaching them technically. But they teach me so much about just being free and their perspective on the world and what life looks like through their eyes. And me and my husband always joke that like, of course we want to be accepted by institutions and all these things. We want to be in that art world, which is great when you are and all that, but it's like if the kids like us, they're going to be the ones that are deciding later in life what art is important. So I'm like, as long as the youth understands and they are connected, I the rest will work out.
Is your husband an artist also?
Yeah, he is. He mostly right now is like doing collage work. He's also mixed media. He'll do collage and painting, oil painting, acrylic, and yeah, we have a very creative house. He does murals as well, so it's just been nice to be able to bounce ideas off each other. It's been really great.
That's pretty special.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
So, yeah. And to survive, I mean, it's really hard. I often really regret the fact that our society doesn't support artists enough.
Yeah, it can be tricky. We always it's I think with the internet, it can be really misleading sometimes to see other artists do things and you're just like, "Oh, they made it. They're good. They're making all this money." And kind of being in these circles and being able to really like speak with artists who are doing great, incredible things. It really is like a roller coaster. Like maybe you're okay right now, but maybe next month looks really scary for you. And I have found just in talking and in community with other creative people, it is really difficult. We kind of go in waves of like, oh, artists are great. Let's put artists at the forefront of everything. And then maybe the next year it's like, not so much. Like now we're going to go in a tech direction or whatever it is. And so it is really, really difficult. I always say like I have so much admiration for people that choose to make art their main source of income because it's just not easy and we have to survive. It's one of those things where it's like if it's calling you that much that you are willing to risk a stable, consistent paycheck to be able to like put your work out there, like that's a very, very big deal. And I respect it because it is just so hard. I also respect the people that work full time and still make time for their work too, because has its own challenges. So it's just not easy.
No, it isn't, and it's
Yeah.
really important. Yeah, art does so much for the individual and the community.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you near Seattle? Are you in Seattle?
Yeah, I'm in Seattle. My studio is right like by everything. Yeah, I am deep in Seattle.
Because I always thought of it, I haven't been there in a while, but I always thought of it as a place that artists gravitated to.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I said, even that mural happening in a city like this and it being such a direct reflection of my work and no limitations, no need to adjust or change myself or paint something that was easier to receive. I feel really proud of the progress that the city is making in terms of supporting artists. When I first started this journey, I would have to travel to New York or to LA anytime anyone wanted to hire me for an art project. And it just hasn't been like that the last few years. I've been able to really, really do a lot of work locally, which has been really exciting. I see a lot of things happening for people in my art community here that are really great and powerful. And so I think that Seattle is a place that gives you a lot of time to be quiet with your work. It's not as busy as some of the other bigger cities. There's obviously the element of nature here, which is such a source of inspiration for so many artists. And so, yeah, it's been really cool to see this place grow in terms of art and the way that artists are valued here.
What would you tell the next generation of artists?
Ooh, that's
What would you
a
tell them how to stay focused on their art and
yeah.
keep going?
I think I would tell them that really easy to get distracted these days or to lose sight of why the art is important. I think I would tell the future generation of artists that, the most important part is making the art. What happens to it after that is just its journey. So if you make something, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to put it out into the world. Maybe that thing is just for you, and maybe that thing is for your next thing that will really affect your community. I think with social media and with the internet, it's really easy to feel pressure to have your art journey look a certain way. But I just like to try to remind people like some things are just meant to be made because they're a very small part of this bigger thing that you're supposed to make 10 years from now, maybe. And so I try not to get into this space of like, oh, I'm not inspired right now. I just can't make anything because I'm not inspired. I tell all the young artists that I work with, it's important to know what your art looks like when you're not inspired too. And maybe you don't have to show anybody, but just document it for yourself. Get those feelings out so you can reflect on it later and then maybe make something a better version of it when you are feeling really inspired. So I think I would just tell the youth, like, just keep creating no matter what. There's all these things that distract us from like the actual process of making something, and try to like stay locked in on that part, because what comes after it will come after it, but like the thing has to get made. That's the first step. And I think that journey that you go on when you take a thought that's in your brain and you use your own hands to like bring that to life is really special and something that we shouldn't take for granted. And so I encourage people to just do that, even if it's just for yourself.
That's great. How do people find you? What do you have a website?
Yeah, so my website is my studio name. It's just www.juneandmars.com. And then I'm constantly posting on Instagram. You just search my name, Cristina Martinez.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? What's happening in the world of art, or the world of anything?
Yeah, no, I feel like this was great. I feel really good. I feel like all the things that are important to me, I feel like I got a lot of those out.
Thank you, Christina. Christina spoke about art as a way of life, a way of seeing beauty that reminds us there is so much more than the struggles. It's a way of remembering where we've been and imagining who we're becoming. There is a nobility to that view of the artist's life, and from everything Christina said, I think she carries that within her. She takes struggles in stride and looks for the flowers. I am so grateful for art and for artists who remind me there is beauty all around us. And sometimes all I have to do is choose to see it. If you'd like to learn more about Christina's work, you'll find links in today's show notes. If this conversation meant something to you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need the reminder that creativity can change both a life and a community. Until next time, I'm Hillary Sloan. Thanks for listening.